So in today's video, we're actually going to be looking at new evidence that supports the idea that Resident Evil 5 Remake might be happening. So let's get started. We're going to be breaking down the whole thing. And right before we get started, I actually do want to say a huge shout out to ZRNalajmy. He actually did comment just recently on one of my community posts. He was like, hey, dude, did you cover the new R.P.D's post? And I was like, yeah, I covered it last week. Thanks for the info. And he's like, no. There's a new one that he just posted right now. And I was like, sheesh. Anyways, let's break down the new information. Okay, so for starters, as mentioned, R.P.D basically stated on Twitter that is this Chris Redfield. In the latest article published by the K2 team, a Capcom auxiliary team since 2008, we noticed an artistic image of one of the characters in the back, and his appearance appears similar to Chris Redfield, especially in Resident Evil 5, and his physique is also large. Now this is the image that he's obviously showing here, and actually if we go back down and look at the actual photo, this is what we'll actually find. We'll find this photo is just somebody that's working on computers, right? This is the K2 team. Now, it is also worth noting that K2 has actually been working with Capcom since like since 2008, but they've worked on every Resident Evil since. So right here, basically, this is on Resident Evil Wiki. It says they've been working on AAA project from Resident Evil 5 all the way to Resident Evil 4 Remake. So going back to that image that I was mentioning before, the image that R.P.D is basically referring to, it's all the way behind all of these K2 members. And if you zoom really quick, it looks like it might be Chris Redfield. Now, it is worth mentioning that one counter argument you could make is that the only reason they have somebody that looks like Chris Redfield all the way back here in the computers is probably to pay an homage, because that's the first game that they worked on for Capcom. As mentioned, K2 has been working with Capcom since Resident Evil 5, and they've worked on every other Resident Evil title since. Now, the counter argument as to why PRE is actually suggesting that this might be work on Resident Evil 5 Remake is because on Resident Evil 2 Remake, they did have pictures of all of the promotional materials, right? They had concept art. So even right here, he says, so why did they put the picture up in the first place? The reason is to introduce the developers to the project being developed in this section. For example, Resident Evil 2 Remake, while recording the cinematic scenes, there were several paintings and artistic images related to the game in the background. So his point is that they had concept art kind of just to inspire them to work on the game that they're working right now. So that's a good counter argument. But again, it doesn't really negate the other counter argument, as mentioned before, that it could just be that they're just paying an homage to the first Resident Evil game that they worked on, and maybe that was concept art for the original Resident Evil 5 Remake, and they kind of did the same to his point here, that they had images in the back for that. But that's not everything. In this tweet, he also states something else that's very interesting. Now, if you guys are enjoying these breakdowns of dissecting the news videos, then consider subscribing. You know, the more subscribers we get on the channel, the more content you guys will see from me here. So yeah, really appreciate it. Anyways, let's get back to the video. He basically says here, there's an image here. This is possible because in the article, they put a field to apply for several positions, including an expert in how to shoot. Now, I did actually translate this tweet using Google Translate, and it basically says at the top, practical experience in character animation, practical experience in camera work, ability to seek photorealistic visual expression, practical experience in video production using storyboards, etc., motion capturing, shooting experience, character rigging creation experience, team management leadership experience, project demo lead containing 3D CG images that show your current abilities. And what's important here is at the bottom where it says, where he actually translated it to Arabic, it says motion capture shooting practice. But what's interesting is that if you translate motion capture shooting practice in Arabic, it's practical shooting experience. So it almost seems like the translator that he was using was kind of broken. It was just saying, oh, you need practical shooting experience, while the other one says, no, motion capture shooting experience. So they're obviously looking for somebody that knows how to shoot and is obviously a mocap actor. Now, it is worth mentioning that Capcom in certain projects, they do end up getting the voice actor to actually do all of the mocap, but sometimes they don't do that. Like, for example, with the recent release of Resident Evil Death Island, they basically had mocap actors doing the lines, doing everything the characters do in the movie, but then in LA or wherever the actors were located, they basically had the actor go into a voice booth and do the lines on top of the character's movements. So like I said, Capcom sometimes does this. And now I should mention that is for CGI, but for actual games, I'm not too familiar with. But and my point here is that they're obviously looking for a mocap actor with shooting experience, not just like shooting, but actual gun experience, gun practice. They're looking for that. So it could be that they're looking for a mocap actor, and then after they kind of put the voice actor that's actually playing the character on top of that. That could also be a possibility. PRE actually finishes off his his post by saying, we also see in the same section several models of Resident Evil characters, so perhaps this raises the possibility that the image belongs to an upcoming project for them. Now here we actually just see Leon, Chris, and Jill. And I actually don't know what this dog is here, so that might be from another Capcom game that they actually helped out. And then he finishes off the whole thing by saying, what do you think of this matter? Do you really think this character is Chris or Wesker, or just an image that has nothing to do with the series? Share with us. Now, the other thing that I should also mention is that I actually did look at the K2 website, and I did find a more recent picture, but it seems like this picture is actually from the other side. So the other picture that we looked at before, it was this was the one that we were looking at. Oh, it's actually right there. No, you know what? Now that I think about it, this is the same room, but it's just a little covered. It's covered. So this is a much clearer photo, but you see, this is the same, I don't know if it's a guy or a chick, but the anime dude that's on the left on the wall, that's right here. So this Chris or whatever character is just shy away from the image. I wonder if they actually saw this, because if you look at PRE's tweet, his whole point as to how he found the image is that they screwed up. But this image that's on the company website, it seems like they didn't. They actually, it looks like the photo is cut right here. Now, I couldn't find any other pictures. At the end of the day, it could be potential Resident Evil 5 remake information, but I don't want to get your guys' hopes up. I do want to specify that, as mentioned, the counter argument that I have is that it could just be concept art from the first game that they had that they just left up there. By the way, if you guys missed last week's news, make sure to click this one right here. And we also did a rumor video roughly around 2 weeks ago that was actually talking about Resident Evil 5, so make sure to check that one out